Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to The Sauce, your source for celebrity news. Check this out. Yo Gotti's big brother, Big Jook, was laid to rest on Wednesday, January 31st at New Directions Christian Church in Hickory Hill, Memphis. Big Jook, aka Anthony Mims, was unalived outside of Paragon's Restaurant and Event Center in Hickory Hill on Saturday, January 13th, 2024, shortly after leaving his uncle's funeral. After his untimely demise, many people speculated that he was murked in retaliation for his alleged involvement in Young Dolph's murder outside of Makita's Cookies in 2023. When reflecting on his big brother, Yo Gotti said, "What's understood doesn't gotta be explained. You're irreplaceable. My other half. Thanks for everything you taught me, directly and indirectly. I look up to you every day. I will miss you every day and make sure they remember you. The biggest ever." Source, can you please take us inside the church so we can see the beautiful way that Yo Gotti sent his brother off? Listen, those flowers were absolutely beautiful, and it appears that Yo Gotti didn't spare any expenses when laying his brother Big Jook to rest. Okay, so according to individuals who were able to get inside of Big Jook's homegoing service, Dr. Stacy L. Spencer gave Big Jook's eulogy, which was entitled King of the Hill. During the eulogy, he quoted from the Old Testament book of Samuel and hailed Big Jook as both a businessman and a family man. In addition to Pastor Spencer's remarks, the service also included the reading of a letter of condolences that was said to be from President Joe Biden and the Biden family. Now, after some YouTubers and podcasters reported that Joe Biden had sent his letter paying his respects, some people were like, yo, why in the world is Joe Biden paying respects to Big Jook and Yo Gotti? The reason is that Yo Gotti is the part owner of the Major League Soccer team DC United, and because of that, he met the First Lady Jill Biden in conjunction with the youth soccer program in Washington last year, and he also attended a White House holiday event last December. So that's why President Joe Biden and his wife gave Yo Gotti condolences for the loss of his brother. And let me say this, there's a couple of YouTubers and podcasters saying that Bill Clinton was at the funeral. He was not at Big Jook's funeral, and the pictures that they have posted on their websites are photoshopped. I mean, even though Bill Clinton might be one of your more hood-friendly presidents, he ain't that hood-friendly to be pulling up in Memphis for Big Jook's funeral. Now, many people were concerned that Big Jook's funeral wouldn't be able to be held in Memphis because the tensions that continue to run high between Yo Gotti's clique CMG and Young Dolph's clique PRE. And many people feared that if Yo Gotti returned to Memphis to bury his big brother, he might also get targeted and ends up 6 feet under. Now, according to the church where Big Jook's funeral was eventually held, none of the other churches in the Memphis area wanted to let Yo Gotti and the Mims family have Big Jook's funeral at their churches because they were fearful that something might jump off. The pastor also shared the fact that when Yo Gotti and the Mims family called him and explained that they couldn't find a church where they could give his brother Big Jook a proper send-off, he invited them to come to New Directions Christian Church so that they could have the service that they really wanted to have, because he wasn't going to turn away a family in need, despite the fact that there was a potential threat surrounding a family. Now, even though the pastor allowed Yo Gotti and the Mims family to have Big Jook's funeral at the church, he was still concerned about what could potentially go down. So, he jumped online the morning of the funeral and asked God to protect the church from the ops. And he also made sure to ask God to make sure that no weapon that was formed against Yo Gotti and the church would prosper. Check this out.
Y'all, I need your prayers this morning. I know I pray for you a lot, and we pray for each other. But I need you praying with and for me this morning. We're praying for protection. Praying for protection. You know, I preached Sunday about Nehemiah. Nehemiah was rebuilding the wall in his city. The walls had been torn down, had been burnt down, and thieves were coming in and taking what they wanted. And Nehemiah was cupbearer to the king, and he took a risk and told the king that his heart was broken over the condition of his city, and the king gave him a grant to go and rebuild the wall. But as I told you on Sunday, whenever you take position, you're always going to have opposition, and the ops begin to make threats toward the builders of the wall because they benefited from the walls being torn down. And they threatened to kill Nehemiah and the workers while they were rebuilding the wall. And Nehemiah prayed, Lord, boomerang any ill will that they had toward us. Let it come back on them. Do not hold them guiltless for their sin. And Nehemiah continued to rebuild the wall with weapons in one hand and tools in another. And they watched and prayed while they were rebuilding the wall. We got a call the other day, right after I preached that sermon. Got a call on Monday to request us to host a funeral at our church. It's not uncommon for us to get requests to hold funerals at our church. That's what churches do. This particular family had no other place to go to hold their funeral. The Mims family. Young man was shot down the street from our church a couple of weeks ago. And his family reached out for us to have the funeral. And without hesitation, I said yes, because her mother had lost her son, children had lost their dad, and siblings had lost their brother. We've done all kinds of funerals at our churches, but this funeral was different because this is Yo Gotti's brother. There's been a lot of speculation about his death, and a lot of people afraid of retaliation. But I just believe that when you do the right thing for God and do it for the right reason, that God will protect. I want to give refuge and sanctuary to a family that is grieving. And yet there are ignorant people who are trying to stir up hostility and hoping something bad comes out of this. I'm praying that as we rebuild our community and stand up and say enough killing, there's enough killing in our city. I believe that when we stand up for what's right and to bring hope and healing to a family that's hurting, that God will stand up for us. So I solicit your prayers as we host the homegoing of this young man that was killed today, that we might be able to give hope to this family, and God might guard against the hostilities of anybody who would try to do anything evil on this day. There used to be a time where we had honor and revere for the house of God, for the people of God. But there's no code of ethics in the streets, it seems, anymore. There's no sanctity of life. And I just pray that you guys would lift up this family in prayer this morning. Lift me up as I have to give the eulogy this morning. And lift up our church family and our community, that this senseless violence would stop and God would bring healing to our city.
Listen, thank goodness that God answers prayers. Because, everybody was like worrying about what could potentially happen. So needless to say, security was of the utmost importance. So Yo Gotti and them decided to do things a little different. In order to ensure the safety of both Yo Gotti and the attendees at the funeral, Yo Gotti and his family required everyone who was attending the funeral to pre-register for the service by filling out an application to attend the funeral, and if and only if your pre-registration application was approved, after review, could you attend Big Jook's funeral. Source, can you please pull up a copy of the pre-registration application? Alright, it says funeral guest list registration. Date of service Wednesday, January 31st, 2024. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Matthew 5:4. The Mims family would like to extend a heartfelt appreciation for the support during this difficult time after the passing of their beloved Anthony Big Jook Mims. To ensure a respectful and organized gathering, we kindly request your assistance in completing the following registration form. Your cooperation allows us to make the necessary arrangement and provide support to all attendees. Please note, guest capacity is limited and we kindly request no plus ones. Completing this registration does not guarantee an invitation to the service. Once reviewed and approved, you will receive an email with your invitation. Okay, so essentially, Yo Gotti and them made it so that not only did you have to RSVP to Big Jook's funeral, but you also had to pass that background check. And if you didn't know somebody who knows somebody who could verify and identify who you were, you wasn't getting up inside that church. Additionally, the Memphis Police Department said that Yo Gotti and his family put so much manpower and firepower outside of that church that there was no way that anybody could retaliate even if they wanted to. When discussing the military-level police presence that was posted up outside the church, which included dozens of MPD squad cars, snipers on the roof, and a helicopter, Interim Police Chief C.J. Davis said, on Wednesday, January 31st, the Memphis Police Department monitored the funeral services of the late Anthony Mims in an ancillary support capacity. The family of Mr. Mims hired a private security detail of approximately 25 armed guards to cover the funeral services inside the church and on the exterior, including the roof. The involvement of the Memphis Police Department to monitor the perimeter of the property and the funeral escort was routine as in similar situations, and was specifically in the interest of public safety. Source, can you please show the people a video of what was going on over there by the church?
And we live in Memphis at the Big Jook funeral. Oh, here they come, man. Here they come. They ain't them black trucks, only on Blackwood News. Come on, y'all know this. They pulling up about 25 deep in them black cars. Oh, here they come. Only on Blackwood News. Let's go. They stupid in Hickory Hill right now. We're in Memphis, where they putting up for Big Jook. They got the sprinters, everybody putting up. Ooh. They out here for Jook, man. They said he had love in the city. They putting up for him. This is why it had to be here. This is why it had to be here. Only on Blackwood News. They putting up stupid deep right now. We're live at the funeral section for Big Jook, man. They not playing that in the city today. They're not. They got helicopters in the sky, everybody out here. Only on Black with News. Let's go. We out here. We live on Winchester. We on Hickory Hill. We in Hickory Hill on Ridgeway for the big Jook funeral in Memphis, man. They out here. Only on Black with News. Come on, man. Only on Black with News. Y'all know what's up. Stop playing with me. Let's go. They hopping out. They're getting ready to head into the funeral service at New Direction for Big Jook, man. Only in Memphis, only on Black with News. Oh, we out here. Come on, man. Y'all know it don't stop. We live in Memphis at New Direction Church for Big Jook. Only on Black with News. Only on Black with News. Man, Big Jook had them ballers out here, man. We're live at the Big Jook funeral in Memphis. They walking in, they finna get it started, man. They got this area on lock too. Helicopters ain't playing, police everywhere. We're live in Memphis right now. We on Hickory Hill with it. They got armed guards everywhere. Only on Black with News. Y'all know this, man. Man, they out here stupid deep. This is the Big Jook funeral in Memphis. Only on Black with News. They still putting up. Let's go. Look at them. They out here for Jook, man. They say he had a lot of love in the city. Despite what y'all say and everybody say, they said Jook had a lot of love, man. And they put enough for him. Black with News.
Now, after the funeral service was done, a reporter named Todd Starnes jumped on Twitter and said the funeral of Yo Gotti's brother, Big Jook, was held at a Memphis church that had been turned into a fortress. Dozens of police cars were on hand. WMC TV reports that there were snipers on the ground and on the roof, and there was a helicopter providing air support. Why doesn't the MPD provide that level of protection and support for the law-abiding taxpayers of Memphis? But Todd Starnes wasn't done, because apparently the level of security at Big Jook's funeral was really bothering him. So he jumped back on Twitter and he said, the funeral of rapper Yo Gotti's brother was yesterday in Memphis. There was a massive police presence, military style, with snipers on the rooftops, dozens and dozens of officers, along with airships providing aerial surveillance. That never happens for funerals of country music stars or Christian music stars. Oh my goodness, Todd, I really don't think that country music stars are worried about retaliation from a whole bunch of cowboys that are looking for some get back. And I really don't think that Christian music stars are really trying to protect themselves from the retaliation of a rogue group of saints that might come spray up the funeral. I mean, come on, Todd, use your head. Well, after Todd Starnes went on his 2-day Nicki Minaj style rant, somebody named Willie Walters came in the comment section and shut him down. Willie said, Todd, quit acting like you don't know how America works. On top of paying millions in taxes, I'm sure Yo Gotti and his family paid additional fees at a premium to all departments present. But Todd Starnes wasn't the only person who seemed to have like a very big problem with all of the security that was at Big Jook's funeral, because the cussing pastor jumped online and said this.
So now we treat drug dealers, gangsters, like the President of the United States. This is the most foolish shit that I've ever seen. And I've been around the funeral business for many years. Yes, it's tragic that Big Jook was killed, but this foolishness on a funeral is fucking ridiculous. 30 or 40 private security guards with AK-7s, metal detectors, the whole entire Memphis Police Department detail for a funeral. Now you've also pulled in the Shelby County Sheriff's Department as they are on their way to travel and plant his ass at Memorial Park Cemetery. All of the exits on 385 East have been blocked by the Shelby County Sheriff's Department. This is the most foolish bullshit I've ever seen. You know, while all of these police officers are in Hickory Hill, what is going on in Hickory Hill? Is any crime today? Today, every crook that wanted to work could work and not get caught, because the police is more concerned about a damn dead man than the living. A waste of taxpayers' money. But then, when have they ever gave up?
Alright, so in an interesting plot twist, a few people have alleged that the cussing pastor's negative commentary about all the security at Big Jook's funeral is based on the fact that he's an op that's teamed off. And they pointed out the fact that even though Yo Gotti was trying to keep the time and place of his brother's funeral a secret, the cussing pastor just kept jumping online and sharing info about Big Jook's funeral in real time, which was basically letting Yo Gotti's ops know exactly where the funeral and the wake were gonna be, so that if they wanted to, they could slide on them. For example, after sharing the time and location of the wake and funeral, the cussing pastor also posted, "The wake for Big Jook is going on right now here in Memphis under heavy security. MPD is located heavily in the area. Also, there are heavily armed private security guards, helicopters are flying, and snipers are on the roof of the church." Okay, so after he divulged that information about the funeral, someone jumped in his comment section and said, "Why would you post the place and location knowing this was a high-profile murder, news reporter?" To which the cussing pastor basically said, "If someone dies, oh well, another funeral." And then someone else came through and said, "There's no way this man is a pastor, dropping lows and saying if someone dies, oh well, another funeral. Straight." Look, I don't know what's going on with the cursing pastor, but what I will say is this: if you know that there's a funeral and you know that the block is hot, you might not want to be dropping locations in real time. But I mean, that's just me. Now, after Big Jook's celebration of life, some people were sort of not celebrating his life in the right way, because they were out there in Memphis selling Big Jook packs. I mean, come on, that's just like the most disrespectful thing ever. I didn't like it when King Von and them were out in Chicago talking about they were smoking on Tuka, and I certainly don't like it here. I mean, what kind of mentality do you have to even want to do that? Ugh. Anyways, I'm very glad that Big Jook was laid to rest, and I'm very glad that they were able to have the service in a church. But I gotta tell you, I think it's a darn shame that Yo Gotti practically had to bring out the whole military brigade in order to bury his brother. And I mean, when we get to a point where we gotta have like snipers on the church for a funeral, oh jeez, you know something's wrong. But listen, let me know what you think about Yo Gotti pulling no stops when it came to like securing his brother's funeral. Do you think that he was scared, or do you think that Yo Gotti is a G who's always prepared? Let me know in the comments, and while you're down there leaving a comment, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. Hey yo, thanks for tuning in to Celeb Sauce, your source for celebrity news. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Peace.